Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Wednesday morning. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Wednesday, guys. Do not go back. Do not go back. Do not go back. Now, where's back for you? That can be a number of things. That's between you and God. You know where your back is. That back can be an old relationship, an old environment, back to whatever, back to wherever you came from. Don't go back. Many people are at a place where you feel like because you're stuck and you're stagnant and you don't feel or see any movement, you feel like that's a sign for you to go back. Now you're questioning yourself. Did you make the wrong decision? Was it familiar spirits that you heard? Was it ever even God? And you're contemplating now going back. But if you're honest, the place where God pulled you from, that relationship, from that place, from that environment, from that old job, maybe even your family, wherever God pulled you from, it was a very, very toxic environment. It was very heavy. You couldn't grow. In fact, you were outcasted, a number of things, but it just was not the place for you to be. So when God pulled you, he gave you grace to come out of that situation. And so wherever he pulled you from and took you to, you started to see movement. You discovered peace for the very first time. You had all kind of fruits, right? Whatever you put your hand to, everything was working. And now all of a sudden, now that you're at a standstill, you're now wondering if you heard God wrong. If you heard God wrong, you would have never saw fruit from the very beginning when you got there. You got to be very careful because with these different seasons, if you're not careful, you would really think that you heard God wrong versus recognizing that you're in a standstill. You're in a season of delay. You're in the wilderness. Whatever season you're in, you will tend to think that you heard God wrong. And you will find yourself thinking back, should I go back? Maybe it wasn't so bad. Think back on that heaviness. Think back on that hurt and that pain. Think back on that betrayal. Think back when nobody had your back. Think back on that dark, heavy feeling that was just holding you hostage in that environment. God pulled you out of that place to get you to destiny, to get you to the promised land. God never said it would be easy. Going from that place to the promised land, there are so many different seasons. There are so many different levels of warfare. And the closer you get, the more intense the warfare, the more frequent the seasons that you're going to hit of delays because it's so many things that God have to do. He have to redirect you. He have to give you a strategic way. Maybe you got your hands in something because you were tired of waiting. Now he got to go in and clean up this whole situation. There are so many different things that has to happen. But your obedience is going to have to ride your emotions, that loneliness that you feel, just whatever you feel right now. You feel like you have nobody. You feel like you're all alone. You feel like God has abandoned you. You feel like maybe going back, even though it was toxic, at least it was a familiar feel. Now I feel nothing. I feel lost. I feel like I'm in this ocean where there's nothing around me, just me and my little boat, right? You got to just be still. God will come back for you. God did not pull you from an environment just to send you back in that same environment. You're going to have to be obedient. Speaking of obedience, let me tell you from experience. Now, I don't toot my horn with a lot of things, but I toot my horn with my obedience. My obedience game is nothing to be played with. If I hear God says do it, boom, I'm on it. Like, even if it's something I don't want to do, right? Your obedience is really going to either keep you stuck or it's going to help you move along this journey, this path that you're currently on. If you are being disobedient to certain things that God is requiring of you, let it be leaving that person alone, leaving certain mindsets behind, he told you to relocate, whatever it is that you're being disobedient and you're refusing to do because maybe you got some fear, you might be fearful in certain situations, or you just may feel like you need to see the whole blueprint before you take that step. If you're being disobedient, you will stay stuck. If you're being disobedient, God will literally go silent on you because it's almost like, why am I going to sit here and talk to you? You're asking me to give you a sign, but I've already given you signs. I've already given you convictions. You haven't taken those. I need you to go back to the last conviction I gave you. Somebody just got hit. I need you to go back to the last conviction I gave you. So I'm not going to answer you about something now when you still haven't even moved on that last conviction that I've given you. Listen, the download was so profound that so many people are literally like, that next step is literally going to be the step until your destiny land. Like, it's just the next step. But we can't take the next step if we're not being obedient to the convictions. Whatever he's asking you to do, it's going to be beneficial. It can, whatever he's asking you not to do, it can't go. It just can't go. So I just wanted to encourage someone this morning to not go back because you feel stagnant. There's a certain journey that been on for maybe about some years now. And I'm telling you, you will see movements. Sometimes movements will be so fast, like you can't even keep up, almost like God will come back and get you. And it's like he makes the time up. And it's like a swift type of movement that goes on in the spiritual realm, and you start to see things just unfold. And then you'll hit like a roadblock. And it's like, well, what is this about? Why? And it's the most frustrating thing because, you get all amped up because you feel like you have movement, and then you hit a roadblock. But sometimes those roadblocks are, again, for different reasons, right? It could be you've spoken on something and now God has to reroute you. It could be there's something you're still struggling with, and really you're delaying the process because you haven't really perfected this area yet. It could be there's things going on the other side, and God has to pause you in order to protect you. There is giants in the land that God has to shake up over there. And when there's giants in the land, the people, and they just don't want to go. So God has to really create some things on the other side. God has to work on other people, on other places, other environments. There's so many different things that could be going on that we don't know about. And so when we hit these stagnant points, we feel like we heard God wrong and that we'd rather go back. This is why many people miss the promised land. It has to be your obedience over your emotions. Whatever God is asking you to do, leave that person alone. Leave that environment, that job that's constantly having you so bogged down that you can't even connect spiritually if you wanted to, because it's nothing but witches and warlocks all throughout the job. Leave that family that you love so much, but everyone else refuses to heal. You're chosen. I need you to take the first step because you're going to be the one to go back and save all of them. But you want to be stuck because you're used to your flesh being comfortable and your flesh being familiar, even though it's being, what's the word? Even though it's toxic. You're chosen. That means you have to do things differently. You have to move against the grain. So if you're really going along with everything and everybody else, toxic or not, how are you set apart? You're doing the same things that they're doing. He didn't pull you from the environment just because. Pulling you from the environment have shifted you in a direction to go against the grain. So you have to continue to go against the grain even when it doesn't feel good. But so many people, that next step, and if it's you, some of you guys know where you are spiritually, you feel it. It's just the next step. You know that when God comes back and text you. I wish God would text us, honey. It would make life so much easier, right? But when God comes back and tap you, that's it. You made it. It's the promised land. That's why you got that big blow. Some of you guys have experienced the worst blows of your life. That last blow was literally designed to knock you off course. If you received a big blow and you're still down, listen, take your time and grieve, right? Because some of these blows, honey, will snatch your mind if you're not careful. Take your time and grieve, but you got to get back up. That last blow was literally designed to keep you down because the door is about to open. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.